Most people think change is about knowing what to do when to do it. Eat healthier now, work harder, be more disciplined, stop procrastinating, be more confident. But if knowing what to do was enough, almost everyone would already be living the life that they want. The truth is, most people don't know what they should do. The problem is that behavior follows identity. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Because people don't consistently act according to what they want. They act according to who they believe that they are. Sometimes it's spoken out loud, but most of the time it isn't. It's the quiet voice in the back of your head that says, I'm not good enough, or I'm bad at relationships, or I'm lazy, I'm awkward, I'm not smart enough, I'm always the problem, people always leave me, right? Whether these stories are true or not, it doesn't really matter, because if you believe them, you'll eventually act like they're true. And that's the power of identity. And this is why motivation doesn't last very long for most people, because motivation is trying to change a behavior that identity has been trying to protect consistently. I want you to imagine someone who believes that they are lazy. They can have a great productive day, right? Maybe even a great week, but eventually they'll run into resistance. And when they do, their brain starts looking for evidence that supports their identity or what they believe in. So suddenly one bad day becomes, I knew I couldn't do it. Not because they failed necessarily, but because the identity was stronger than the motivation. And people naturally move towards what feels consistent with who they believe they are. And I think that identity creates an invisible ceiling for people. Like, a lot of people want success, right? But deep down, they don't believe that they are capable of it. Some people want healthy relationships, but deep down, they don't believe they're worthy of them, or confidence, but deep down, they have spent years identifying as insecure. And when opportunities appear, those identities sort of create a conflict, because success feels almost unfamiliar, or love feels unfamiliar, or confidence. And people often sabotage things that don't match the person they think that they are. And this is one of the main reasons that self-sabotage happens. Not because people want to fail, because failure feels more familiar than success. Imagine spending years believing that nobody could genuinely care about you, and someone comes into your life and proves otherwise. Part of you wants it, part of you might not trust it, because it conflicts with your identity. And the same thing happens with success, or pretty much anything. People often struggle to receive what they don't believe they deserve. The good news in all of this is identity isn't permanent. Although a lot of people treat it like that, or something they're born with. But identity is usually built through evidence. Repeated experiences, repeated behaviors or thoughts or stories. Over time, those things become beliefs. And eventually, those beliefs become your identity, which means identity can change. But it changes the same way it was created, through repetition. Becoming someone new, I think, is one of the biggest mistakes people make before acting different, I guess you could say. For example, they'll say, I'll be confident when I believe in myself. Or I'll be disciplined when I become motivated. I'll be healthier when I feel ready. But that way of thinking is so backwards, because the behavior comes first. The identity comes second. You become confident by repeatedly doing the things that you want to do despite the fear. You become disciplined by repeatedly keeping promises to yourself. And you become resilient by repeatedly surviving difficult things. Identity isn't built by thinking. It's built by evidence. And sometimes growth requires letting go of identities that once protected you. Maybe you had to become guarded at one point in your life. Maybe you had to become independent. Maybe you had to become emotionally distant. Maybe those identities helped you survive at that point in your time. But eventually, you have to ask yourself, is this identity helping me become who I want to be? Or is it keeping me trapped in who I used to be? Because old identities can become cages, even when they start as protection. So at the end of the day, people don't consistently act according to their goals. They act according to their identity. And that's why change feels so difficult. Because real, true change isn't just changing what you do, it's changing who you believe you are. And that takes time. It takes evidence, repetition, and patience. But once your identity changes, behavior starts feeling natural. And that's when transformation becomes sustainable. Because identity drives behavior, and the person you believe you are will always, always, always influence the life you create. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you all for watching. As always, stay Rohly.